selling our planet. That is what is happening right now. And one of the tools to consolidate and to subjugate the resources of a planet, verily, including the people, the owners will adopt a consolidation tool. And one effective consolidation tool that is used on biological life forms is a virus. Essentially, as we are witnessing, it's not just my words. We are witnessing consolidation and at the same time a subjugation. Stay at home. Businesses are closed. Do not socialize. Social distancing. Do not travel. Get tested. Are you essential or are you not essential? That is a soft and polite way to subjugate people. And it is done this way so that no one gets upset. That everything is provided in a format so no one gets upset. Because you're staying home for the safety of yourself, your family, and others. We're closing the business for your protection. You can't argue that. Not right now. In the future, when things come out, when information is revealed, we will have a different perspective. But it's pointless because right now there's no argument. I am being protected. I have to follow. And personally, I agree that you should take precautions and you should value your health and you should protect yourself because there is a threat. Now, I like to think of it as you're in a village and the enemy releases a pack of rabid wolves onto your village. That they've been breeding these rabid wolves and they want to get control of your people, and they release these pack of wolves, and they have more onto your village. They're rabid. If they bite you, they could kill you. If you survive, you might get infected, you might get diseased. Now the village has a bunch of warriors, the village has a chief, a leader. The chief, the people are dying, people get attacked, they see the wolves. The general says, it's a wolf, it's rabid, we must fight it. So you set up perimeters, you set up fences, you teach people to stay in your hut. Stay in your hut unless it's essential. Unless it's essential. When they go hunting for food, they put security. When, so, but the wolf is real and it bites. By the same token, it's just a wolf. So they can spear it, they can shoot it with arrows, and they can kill it, and then the more wolves will be sent. Such to a point where you've got taller fences, better spears, better arrows. You've lost a few people, some people are infected. And the village has changed, right? The huts, The wall and the huts are a bit thicker, the doors are a bit sturdier. Some of the people have been taught to heal the sick. Some of the people have been taught to use a spear, right? Teenagers are using spears. It changes the village, which is just a form of subjugation. After a while, the wolves will be killed off, or they'll die off, right, from the disease. But the village is forever changed. It will become a tale. The year of the rabid wolves becomes a myth, a story that the grandfather tells the kid. So the virus is a real thing. It's also a thing that you can defend against. It's also a thing that changes situations, right? We're seeing that. But all of this is just dressing for the show. The show is they're selling the planet. Now, we've talked briefly about the idea that somebody controls the planet. Somebody owns the planet. Many people now have, at least implicitly, accepted that some people, a group, is in control of the planet. Now, the argument is, which group? Is it this group or that group? Is it the wealthy? Is it secret society? Is it a bunch of aliens? So that's the argument. My suggestion is we need to go one step above that. Again, this to me is all misdirection. At the top, somebody owns the planet, and they control all these groups. Some are fake, some are real, and that's the way you control it is by you never know what's real and what's fake. Under that is the virus. So there's something bigger going on. Planets are worth something. They have value because they are basically created. They are space colonies. And space colonies get colonized once they're terraformed, and people come to live here. And over centuries, over millennia, people forget that they came from another planet, right? We don't remember what happened 5,000 years ago, right? Because we didn't have, again, we always look at things from our perspective, that we have this technology, right? We have data, we have internet, we have phones, we have books. But that is only in the last few centuries, and the internet only 20 or 25 years. 25 years we've had the internet, right? Or 30 years, 89, 30 years. We've had the internet for 30 years. From 5,000 years, that's a very limited time span. But we tend to think, we have this thing, we think, well, if we were from other planets, it would have been recorded, there would be photographs, there would be data, there would be a website. No, because that's all been erased. Most of the time, there are protocols, as you would think. There are protocols when an advanced race comes down, and they tinker, and they engineer people, and they introduce new ideas and technologies, that when they leave, they remove or they scrub the site. That any traces of technology is taken out, right? Everything. Over time, now you might not get everything at once, but over 10 years, everything will be removed. And should there something be remaining, and somebody grabs that item, those people will eventually be ostracized. They will be stoned to death, right? And they will be called crazy. So those people will be removed. The society will remove them. So 5,000 years later, there's nothing left. Although now we're starting to talk about ancient aliens. We're trying to, but everything's been removed. Like the spaceships are gone. Any spaceships that are still here are hidden to a level which we will never find it. And if you know about it, there's some people who do know about this stuff. You will, if you talk about it, you will be removed. If someone were to show evidence of a starcraft, the whole thing would be removed, and we would be instantly in World War III. The last thing you're thinking about is disclosure. Now, I just say this because I think most people understand, but you know, we understand things and then we start to doubt our understanding of things. Because the skeptics will say, well, there should be pictures and there would be drawings and there would be written in the Bible. Intelligent beings, they remove things. And if they forgot something, they'll come back and remove it. They will erase the memories. They will erase the memories of a village. And they will implant false memories. They will say that the sky people came, and they'll come in the shape of hawks and bears and lions, and say the sky people are animals, spirits. And that is a false memory implanted into the people, into the leaders, into the medicine people. And those people will share that knowledge. And that story, because so many people understand it and share it, share the memory, that story will be shared. It will become predominant. And it will again erase the other stuff. We can only process so many things, right? So the emergency today has overwritten all the other stuff that we've gone through. Nothing is important anymore. Yesterday it was important, but now it's like it's out of your mind, out of thoughts. So the planet is owned by, I would say, an interplanetary race, a space-faring race. And they own these space colonies. Now you could say there's an owner, and then they allocate a manager or a management team. Now, owner and manager is my term because that's the term we're familiar with. They might call it something else. They might use more divine terms, right? They might use more divine, but it's the same thing. It's an owner. He who looks after this planet, or she, or they, the beings who care for us, you know, the council. The council could be a management team. They call it a council, the divine council, the cosmic council. So terminology is going to be an issue. I'm just cutting right to the chase and saying, I don't care what you call it. Someone owns this planet and it's managed. Now, whether it's the same group or whether there's a separate management unit, it's irrelevant. Now, the owners, they take care of this planet. They oversee it. And for the most part, they have all the managers, all the leaders on the ground, right? You've got all the presidents, the prime ministers. They run all the departments or countries. So you have a corporation, you have many departments. Each department has a manager. And then there's assistant manager. Depending on how big it is, might have assistant manager and co-manager, whatever you want to call it. We can scale it up or down. So the countries are run by these presidents and prime ministers. Above that, we have the organizations, right? The World Health Organization, NATO, NASA. We have all these bigger organizations, right? The CDC. And those provide information and resources to the leadership. You have the CIA, the FBI, all of the intelligence agencies. So we have a system that runs itself. We know how to run this place, but there are more advanced managers, overseers, watchers, and they make sure that nothing goes out of place, because things can go out of place. An advanced race can come here and they can completely distort reality, because they can alter memories, they can alter genders, they can engineer their own species, right? If a reptilian race comes here and introduces their reptilian DNA to a lot of people, after a while, the other DNA can be wiped out. So there's this, right? It's called genocide. It's removing the DNA footprint. So there are more advanced races who watch to make sure that none of this kind of these extinction events take place. That we only experience things that are within our level of awareness, our level of advancement, our level of civilization. Again, how you want to term it. Because people say, well, we are a certain ascension, we are a certain vibration, we are a certain level of awareness. We have to be careful not to get mixed up in terminology. Now, since we've been in contact with other races, Stellans, we have our own terrestrial interstellar programs, and they have taken the DNA, they have taken the DNA of other races. They have engineered fake alien DNA, whether it's strands of DNA or whether it's portions of DNA, and they have gone out to surreptitiously implant different strains of alien DNA, fake alien DNA, not real alien DNA. They've taken samples and they've engineered this DNA and they've implanted it into humans to create a terrestrial alien, if I can use that term, a star being, a terrestrial designed star being, because they knew that the star beings were engineering human DNA. We've been engineered. They come here periodically to engineer, to modify, so that we survive, so that we have more intelligence, right? So that we have more capacity for spirituality, so we have more capacity to love, so that we have a better ability to accept things that are outside, right? That we are less ignorant. This has been the standard protocol. This shouldn't be new for anyone following my work, because I've discussed this. We're not going to get into too much detail. So there are humans here who have the fake alien DNA. Think of Pleiadian. They're a terrestrial engineered race. And they're not connected to anything real, but they're connected to these sub-programs, right? These MyLab programs that have gone out, again, to subjugate, to control, and to manipulate, to distort reality. And now you have a whole class of people who are connected by this fake DNA. There's nothing I can do about it. A lot of the time they can implant the DNA, but you can override it if you follow the right procedures, if you go through the process, if you have a strong enough willpower, and you can connect to your authentic DNA, because they can layer. I'm not a scientist, okay, but they can layer things. So they can layer this fake DNA, and then they can associate it with a fake memory. Now, if you destroy the fake memory, you might not associate with the fake DNA, and you might live a more authentic life. So it's very complicated here on this planet. Now, the owners, they own things for a certain period of time. Again, an interplanetary race typically, I would think, bases their cycles on planetary movements, so that when planetaries are aligned a certain way, it's a good time to take over a planet. And when those planetary cycles were to change, it's a good time to get out. So we see periods of Earth that could be dark, can be a lot of militarization, can be kind of peace and love. Those could be indicators that the owners, there was a change of ownership, right? That can be, the owners could have been forced out, or they just left because the planets changed alignment, and they were going to get caught, and they were going to be held accountable, so they left. We don't know these things. We're not at that level. I'm not at that level to know all those details. But I'm giving you something that happens that we will find out more in the future. So the owners, they stay cycles, planetary cycles. When the planetary cycles change, they might sell off. Just like, again, I don't think it's very difficult to understand the concept. It's difficult to accept maybe this kind of scale, because we're talking a much larger scale. But if I owned a basketball team, right? I owned a basketball team, and my basketball team is losing season after season because I don't want them to win, because I've hired the worst coach and I've got the worst players. But I got a couple of key players, and they bring a lot of advertising dollars. So my team loses all the time, but when they play, they bring in a lot of advertising dollars, because I got a marquee player or two. They bring in the money. They get on television. They go to the talk shows. Even though my team keeps losing, people will hope one day they win. I might do that for 2 or 3 seasons, and then I might sell the team, because I've made a ton of money on something else. We don't know. I don't know how the owners think. I don't know what they want, right? They have their own strategy. Not all owners are benevolent. Even in the business world, the business owner wants to make money. That's why they're in business. They make a business decision. We hear this. We make a business decision. In some cases, you balance the altruism versus corporatism. In some cases, it's just bottom line. It's bottom line dollars. So, again, so we understand these concepts. Sometimes people will argue these concepts. I think we can accept that fact. There are some business owners who are altruistic and some who are not. It doesn't mean they're evil. Because a corporation wants to make money, it doesn't make it evil. It makes it focused on profits. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. I'm just saying this is the kind of the playing field. And small business owners tend to be more altruistic, more customer based, and they have less money because they're there for other reasons. Now, when it comes to a planet, if I own a planet, I might have other reasons. I might be there to steal resources, and because I don't want the people to find out, I create a war. I get one country against another country. I create this animosity, and I have my people down there who create wars. But as the owner, I'm taking resources. I'm taking gold and silver and uranium, whatever. We don't know that. There's no way we know exactly there's too many things going on. I think there's too much going on. We have no idea what the owners want. Sometimes they want to reduce the planetary awareness, right? They want to reduce and create chaos and plunge, sometimes you want to plunge a company into the red. Why? Because if this planet is depressed, in chaos, people are angry, we're at war, and it's polluted, what happens? No one wants to buy it because it's too much work to fix, right? You're not going to buy a company that's almost bankrupt, the terrible employees, terrible products, bad reputation. You're not going to buy that company, right? So they wholesale it, or the company just closes. So sometimes we will have had phases where the owner just tried to plunge this planet into chaos, and we didn't have any support, and we went through some dark periods. Now, right now we're going through a period where they're selling the planet, but it's a little different than I think in the past, because we're not at war. Again, there's no war. There's no declaration of war, but we're kind of at war. There's no martial law because there's no military, but we're under martial law rules, curfews, stay at home, do not travel, travel bans. In the beginning, when Trump was issuing travel bans, everyone got upset. Now they're telling him to issue travel bans. This is how much things have changed. They've completely changed. And everyone's going along with it. Now what happens again, we mentioned before, when you're going to sell something, you're going to clean it up. You want to organize it, clean it up, count the numbers, count the heads, have everything in working order so that the new buyer can make an offer. Okay, now the reason you use a virus, I think, is it's a very powerful subjugation tool, a place of domination, obedience. So, if someone's going to buy a planet and the people can be easily controlled by a pandemic, then that gives them a level of obediency. Maybe not on human terms, but on interstellar terms, they have like an obediency scale. How obedient are the people on this planet? How many outliers? How many troublemakers? What is the level of awareness? What is the vibration of these people? When do we think they're going to reach the next level of ascension? Can we control their ascension? If the people ascend, they realize what I'm saying is true, then they're going to have, right? They're going to respond. If people understood what I'm saying, there would be a response. You wouldn't sit down and accept it. By the same token, very few people can understand what I'm saying. So that's good. That's good and bad, right? I don't mind if you don't understand what I'm saying. In fact, most of the things I say, people don't understand. But that's good. It's good and bad. But that's not my job. The understanding is not my job. My job is to share it. This is what I know. So someone wants to buy the place, and we need to put everybody in their country. We need to count the resources, and we need to do it in a way where not too many people, where there's not too much destruction. Because the owner said there's certain conditions, right? Purchase. We'll purchase this place under these conditions. Don't destroy any buildings, no war, don't kill too many people. You know, there's conditions. The virus also removes people that need to leave, that they've been here too long, or they're no longer allocated to this planet, or that they're ready to move on, or that spiritually, right, they don't belong here anymore. They're not going to belong in the new phase, in the new era. There's these different eras. Well, the new era is a new owner, or a large shift. So there's a new era coming, and certain people don't belong there. They will be removed, right? They will cease to exist, and their spirit will go somewhere else, and they will have to face their karma. So the virus serves multiple purposes. It is a real thing. It is a process. It's a tool of a much larger picture, is the way I see it. Again, it might take a number of years before this makes any sense. Probably at least 10 years before this makes any sense. Because we will see afterwards the changes. We will see afterwards what happens. We will see, and then you can see that there was a transition, there was a shift. And because you're dealing on such a large scale, and 7 billion people, and over 200 nations, this is a very slow process, right? It'll take 18 to 22 months to do this subjugation and consolidation. And so a lot of that process, it won't all be as intense as in the beginning, because people adapt. At some point, people say that's enough, okay? Right? If you keep sticking a knife in someone's face, after a while it says, listen, that's enough. Put it away. So the threat and the protocols will all calm down pretty soon, but we're still going through this process, right? Because they've established the subjugatory situation, and they're allocating, and whenever they're ready, this pandemic will disappear like that. In 18 or 22 months, it'll be like, it's gone. Poof. And that will be the transfer. Let's just say, for argument's sake, it's a 1 to 2 year or 18 month to 22 month transfer of ownership, if things go well. If there are hiccups, it will take longer. If things go really well, it might take shorter. And after those 2 years, so we're looking into 2022, we're entering a new age, maybe a new, probably a new timeline under new leadership. And you might have different aspirations, because as we're going through this process, you're thinking of your life. What can I change? Who do I really love? What's important to me? Who do I not really love? What is unfinished? Can I move on? Like, we're going through that process. You're sitting at home, you lost your job, you're thinking, you're doing a lot of self-introspection. And you're going to be changed, you'll be changed through that process. And a lot of stuff will come out, because now you got time to think about it. There's that book I've been meaning to write, and now I'm writing it. And after a year, you write, you say, this is the worst book I've ever written. I don't even know why I wanted to write a book. And you go back to work. Like, we're all going through that process, right? These, like, I always wanted to be a famous. And then you're like, fame is the worst thing anybody could be. I'm gonna go get married.